Definitely, I feel like friendship is the most important thing to me to get through challenges, and especially flight attendants on the jump seat as well. Like just hearing everybody's perspectives, it really helps me feel a lot less alone. I feel like this life is like all about love. Like
Mhm.
seriously,
Mhm.
it's all about love. And I feel like without friendship and without connections in my life, I would not be able to get through the things that I've gone through. But like it really makes me feel so much less alone when there are so many people that are there with no bias and no judgment.
Yeah. All right. Well, hi everyone. Welcome aboard Jumpsuit Therapy with your host Kevin Weaver. I have a very special guest for you guys today, who is also a flight attendant influencer on TikTok. I am honored and excited to have her on board today, Destiny. Destiny, welcome aboard. How are you?
Thank you. I'm very good. I'm very excited to talk to you. Kevin and I worked together maybe a month or two ago, and we immediately clicked. And we
Yeah.
just went into this whole thing where we're all interested in the same stuff. So I'm excited to chat with you today.
Yay, me too. I'm so glad. Thank you for doing this with me. Thank you for taking time out of your day to sit on the jump seat with me off
Oh,
the
of
plane.
course. Anytime. I'm here for the tea.
Yes, right, exactly. We're just going to dive into some stuff that I am really appreciate about you, first of all. I love your authenticity.
Thank you.
But before I go into more of those things, because I think that'd be a good kind of topic to go into as an influencer on TikTok and as a flight attendant, being raw and real is just something I appreciate somebody doing who does have a big following because that's not easy.
It's
So,
not easy.
yeah, yeah. So, anyways, before that, though, share us a little bit about you. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I am from Northern California, from like a small town. And I just always felt like I never really fit in there. I was always like the black sheep of the family. Like I wanted to travel and do all these crazy things. And my family's like, why don't you want to just start a business here and stay here forever like us? And it's just never been my vibe. So my early 20s, I was just so driven to get out, and I would basically serve or do whatever. I went to beauty school to like save up money to just be able to travel. And then I would basically quit my job and go traveling and do all this crazy stuff. Obviously, there's no stability in that. And once I got a little bit older, I was like, okay, I need to find something where I have health insurance and like stability. And then I had always had becoming a flight attendant in the back of my head. I had a lot of, apprehensions with it because I followed a lot of flight attendants. I knew the pay was going to be crappy. I knew the scheduling was going to be crappy, but it's always been something that was in the back of my head. And I was like, okay, I'm 24. If I want to try it, I just don't want to have the what ifs. So let me give this a year of my full undivided attention and see if this is meant for me. And if not, that's fine, but I have to do it. And so, yeah, I became a flight attendant for a major US airline probably 2 years ago now. It's going to be 2 years in November. And along the line, I found myself being really lonely in this journey of becoming a flight attendant because on social media, everyone was so, oh my God, like, come with me on my layovers. My life is so glamorous. This is an all inclusive Cancun. This is me eating pasta in Italy, which we do experience that, but also they don't really show the really crappy circumstances that airlines put new hires through. And we were talking about it on the jump seat, but like people weren't seeing this in real time or in a big capacity. And then I started to feel really called to just like share the truth because obviously I'm still here for a reason. Like I love the job, but I started to feel called to be like, wait, I think if a lot of people knew the reality of this job, they wouldn't apply and it would save them a lot of time. So that's when I started spending my layovers where I was feeling lonely, getting up and just talking to my phone. And videos just started blowing up one after another, after another, after another. And now 75,000 followers later, I have this community of people where we create this inclusive environment of flight attendants that are like, I feel so much less alone with your friendship. And even the comment sections are just flight attendants of all airlines. We're talking Delta, American, United, Emirates, Qatar, like all of the different airlines all around the world are like, wait, I feel that way too. I feel that way too. The grass isn't greener. And so like, I don't know, it just feels very fulfilling to me to like live this life, but also share reality.
Oh, I love that. It's a really good answer. It's just it radiates from you too when you watch your TikToks. It's just you feel a part of the family, even if you weren't a flight attendant. I think people would just resonate with how you are and just being real. Though it's just so appreciative, and I'm glad that you did that.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, thank you. What is a challenge do you face juggling both careers, and how do you overcome them?
What's the
Well,
question?
I guess not careers. I guess both things. Like as a flight attendant and as a TikTok. Are you doing a lot of these TikToks while at work? If so, like how do you kind of like
Manage it.
implement that together? Yeah, on both like that as a I don't know if it's a career, but like that along with flight attending. Do you have any challenges within that and how do you
Mhm.
work through them?
So basically, yeah, so I'm on reserve a lot, so it can be hard to navigate. My notes app is my best friend. So basically, say I get called on a trip. A lot of the time, TikTok is always in the forefront of my brain because although this is also a really great community for me, it's also been a way for me to go through a lot of my financial struggles. Like TikTok has helped me a lot financially. So I always kind of have that hustle in my brain of like, something just happened. Before I get ready for work, I'm going to take 5 minutes to talk about it and post it real quick. And a lot of the time in the morning, I will get called for a trip. I'll be like, I just got called for this, da da da, da, and I won't even touch it until later that night when I get to my hotel. I'll edit through it. I'll try to make it easier to watch, or I'll wait until I get to my hotel. A lot of the time when stuff happens at work, I have a really bad memory, especially, we get so tired throughout the day with our job. Um, I will go into my notes app like after the flight and I'll be like, oh, I'm definitely going to be talking about this later. And I'll write it in my notes.
Wait, so you mostly did all your TikTok stuff after you became a flight attendant, or are you doing stuff before? What did you do before flight attending?
So I was an esthetician. I worked at a salon, and I also like have a serving background. But yeah, I used to do like eyebrows and facials and stuff like that. Um, but what was the question?
That was pretty much it.
Oh, if I had a following before. So yeah,
Yeah.
I had like 16,000 followers when I first became a flight attendant, and then I put
Okay.
everything on private when I was in my hiring journey and
Yeah.
probation and everything like that. I think it was right before I got off probation, I took my TikTok off private. I used to make dating videos. So I used to get home from bad dates and be like, guys, you will not believe what happened. And a lot of them got a lot of views. But then I realized I was kind of bashing men in a way. Someone made a comment that really sat with me and they were like, honestly, like you make kind of negative geared content because you're kind of talking badly about people in your content. And so I was like, wait, you're kind of right. So I kind of took the majority of that stuff down and put everything on private, then started with my flight attendant content.
Nice. I love that. And in general, how do you handle some of the toughest challenges in life in and out of work? Like, we'll all struggle with that. And that's one of the biggest questions I like to ask people on the jump seat when I'm there because it helps me work through my stuff. And I like to hear the rawness of everything. So, how do you handle some of those toughest challenges in life? How do you get through them? In
Yeah,
general.
probably definitely, I feel like friendship is the most important thing to me to get through challenges, and especially flight attendants on the jump seat as well. Like just hearing everybody's perspectives, it really helps me feel a lot less alone. I feel like this life is like all about love. Like seriously,
Mhm.
it's all about love. And I feel like without friendship and without connections in my life, I would not be able to get through the things that I've gone through. But like it really makes me feel so much less alone when there are so many people that are there with no bias and no judgment.
Yeah, very true. I love that. Having that support of your friends really makes a huge difference, especially with this job, in and outside of it too, right? But especially even with this job, though, you do, and I think you said at the beginning, you kind of feel alone sometimes, and having that support, having those friends and those connections, and living life authentically in a space of love and having that surrounded by you is very important and key. I love that. Good.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just the airline that we work for, but like I always feel like I'm sitting there with a person that has no judgment, nothing about me. They don't have any type of prior judgment, and I just always feel so comfortable to like anything that's heavy on my heart. Like I feel like flight attendants are so open to be like, me too, I see you, I feel you, like I go through the same stuff, and it's like, wow, it really is therapy in a way. I
It really
swear.
is. I love it. Jump seat therapy.
Yeah, seriously.
I love it. And I know you and I on the jump seat when we talked about therapy in general and seeing a therapist. And one of the reasons why I kind of created the show too is to encourage other people to seek counseling and seek a therapist and get
Mhm.
professional help. And this is kind of like a tool for me to just kind of be a platform of sharing people's stories and kind of like we do on the
Yeah.
jump seat, and just being authentic and real and being heard and but also getting that professional help. And because I've lost a lot of friends of mine to, being lonely and having themselves in a dark space. So I really want to be that light, and I want to find a way to do that. And so that's why I created the show. We had some conversations on the jump seat of some of the things that you struggled with in life that was pretty rough. And I'm just very proud. And I've shared with you, I'm very proud of the work that you've done on yourself. It's very huge. And
Um,
but
okay, so yeah, therapy and psychiatry has helped me a lot with being a flight attendant. I've been through a lot my first year. There was so much I went through my first year. I had a lot of health issues from this job. My immune system got really shot. I had chronic sinus infections and ear problems, and um, it really made this first year really, really hard. I also was living in Philadelphia in a house with it was three girls from training. And one morning, it was like 5 in the morning, and we both got called for trips, and they were like 30 minutes apart from each other. Basically, long story short, my friend was like, "Are you going to take the train with me?" And I was like, "I think I need this extra 30 minutes to get ready." And long story short, I'm pretty sure a man was watching her leave. She accidentally didn't lock the door, and he came in and locked me in and attempted to sexually assault me. And I physically fought this man. I'm really grateful he wasn't that much bigger than me. He was probably like 5'8", and he was on a lot of drugs. So he had a very sedated kind of fight in a way. Like it wasn't super powerful. Um, but it was the most traumatic thing I've ever gone through. Like,
yeah.
it's every woman's worst nightmare to go through stuff like that, or I guess men as well. But I feel like as women, we're so helpless in a way when that happens. And seeing someone that locked me in and like was in the process of trying to assault me really took me into a fight or flight mode that I've never been in before. It's like the rage entered my body in a different way, and we were physically fighting, like hitting each other and like
Mm.
um I called 911, and he was trying to get my phone from me, and I threw it, and I was just screaming, and ultimately I hit him really hard. I got one of the locks unlocked, he hit me, and then I got the last lock unlocked, and I threw him by his jacket out of my door, and I slammed it shut, and it literally was like a movie. Like I got on the phone with 911, and I was like, and she's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay? He's out of your house." And I was like, "Yes, he is." She's like, "The police are around the corner. Your neighbors heard you screaming. They called the police before you even did. Like you did amazing. Please stay on the phone with me." And after this incident, like the man was never caught. And I was in denial. I was like, oh, I'm just going to go back to work. I can't afford to take a leave. I'm fine. I'm just going to go back. I think staying busy is the best thing. But as the days went on, bruises developed in my body. I couldn't move the next day because my body had never gone into that state before. My body was so stiff and sore. I literally couldn't move. And I felt like this man really took my power from me. He took my feeling of safety within me. And it was just like a terrible experience. It was really terrible. I do think everything happens for a reason in a way that I used to live life so like nothing's gonna happen to me. I'm fine. Like I'm adventurous. I travel alone. I do all this stuff. And I'm really grateful nothing worse happened to me. I'm grateful that he didn't have a weapon. Um, but it's been a lot to work through. It's been a lot
Mhm.
to work through. Even now, I think tomorrow is the 1 year actually, or no,
Oh,
the
really?
third. The
Oh,
third is the
wow.
1 year, yeah, of October. And
God.
it's still something that I'm working through, which is
Oh, yeah.
really frustrating to have to surrender that because it's like, I'm like, why am I giving this man power? Like, why, I'm fine.
Mhm.
But I think the more I talk to other flight attendants, the more I realize we all have this kind of dark background of things that we've gone through, and we're all working to be better. And I think that that collective experience really helped my heart so much
Mhm.
because, like, it's we all have gone through such different things, but we're all collectively trying to move and be better and travel and have experiences. And it was actually flight attendants that convinced me I was very anti-medication. I'm fine without therapy. I'm good. Um, and it was other flight attendants that made me realize more of us need help than others. Like the majority of us need mental help. We really do, and it's not normalized and it makes us all feel so alone.
Mhm.
And once you start to be real with each other, it's like, oh, I think you and I started by being like, you're like, oh yeah, I'm in counseling. And I was like, oh my God, I'm also in it too. And I think the more you have these like open conversations, it leads this path to us having like a more inclusive environment.
Oh, totally. And it's as traumatic as something like that too is. Um, and I know it's not fun doing that inner work through all that, but it
Yeah.
radiates and it brings the people around you up too because it's I like when we talked about this on the jump seat, I was like, man, thank you. And I just appreciated you so much too for being to know that it could take your power, that sometimes I do let him take my power or whatever, but you are working through that and you're not
Yeah.
letting that take over. You're allowing yourself to be stronger and you're building a lot of resilience and strength and it radiates to all of us. Like I
Oh,
can't tell you how thankful I am of seeing you still, and I think it's just making you stronger and I think it makes your platform stronger too on TikTok,
yeah.
especially knowing that story because you're just so that makes you even more real, and it just really it just amazes me, and I know it's not hard having to like um even talk about it, it's hard to do,
Yeah.
and to work through it is another thing, so I applaud you a lot for doing that work, and
Thank you.
it means a lot to everyone, because you're you're stepping into more of your power, if anything,
Yeah.
what I mean? Because you're facing it. And
Yeah.
so many of us don't, though. A lot of us hold it in and keep it to ourselves or push it away or push it under the rug or just get over it or, and it's like, no, that's
Yeah.
gonna damage you and those around you. And
And like a lot of flight attendants have drinking problems
yeah,
and they end up, you know,
that was me.
just drowning it away in alcohol and parties because it can sometimes be hard to set those boundaries with alcohol when every day can be like vacation with this job. And
Mhm.
something that I was talking to my psychiatrist about was like, Destiny, you're afraid to get on medication, yet you drink alcohol. Like
Mhm.
you drink alcohol. And even though you don't have an alcohol problem, you drink and alcohol is really bad for your body. So
Mhm.
like what if there was something that could help your mental state that doesn't harm your body?
Yeah. Oh, very well said. I like that.
Yeah.
But it's true because like I was one of those. I drank a lot, and it it was hard to work through. But on the other side, like now, yeah, I wanted to do the same thing. I want to find ways to work on myself, without that, without any substance or anything, to
Right. I mean, it's also hard too. Like you're like, oh, I'm new. I'm trying to have these fun experiences,
mhm.
especially if you're single. I don't remember how long you and your partner have been together.
I was lucky actually. I met him before I became a flight attendant, but that's a topic I think you share on your podcast. That's another thing, by the way, everyone. She also has a podcast, and I'll
I'm
be
not
on
as
it too.
consistent
I don't
with
know why they
mine
bring that up
though.
yet. Do what?
I'm not as consistent with mine because I'm still trying to navigate the whole like editing thing, which is something that Kevin and I need to talk about later.
Yes, and we'll definitely do that because I think it's a really good and fun, creative podcast that you created, and I'm excited about it. And I want to be on your show, so
Oh,
you're
you
gonna make it
will.
work.
We both have the same kind of vibe to
Yeah,
our podcasts, I feel.
yeah. But I brought that up because there's something about it that I was thinking of. I kind of lost track with it now, but
Something that I said on my podcast.
yeah, there was something you said on yours, like how you are. Um, there was something specific about it though that I listened to on there about oh, just diversity. You put a lot of diversity in your stuff too, and wow, now I don't remember it a lot. It's out of my brain.
That's okay.
Yeah, um,
Maybe it'll come back to you.
yeah, it'll come back. I'm just trying to be in a flow. But where were we at in general? Man, my brain.
Um, yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought too.
Yeah.
Um, oh, I think we were talking about like alcoholism, and
Mm.
I think that's
Mhm.
kind of where we left off, was the alcoholism topic and how you you had a problem with drinking a lot too.
Yeah.
And I feel like especially being sober and like not, or being single and not having, a partner, I feel
Right.
like it
So, right.
especially influences me to want to like go out and like meet people.
Mhm.
Um, which is also too like I feel like I need to find healthier ways to like navigate that. And if you guys are like flight attendants listening to this, there is actually a really cool widget that you can add to your iPhone. It's called Days Since, and it's a counter where you can reset it and it shows you days since you did something. So if you have an addictive personality and you're trying to, cut something out, you can reset it like every time you drink. Like I have mine on my home screen, so every time I drink, I have to reset it, and then I can see how many days I've gone without drinking alcohol, if that makes sense. So I
Mhm.
can be like, oh, it's been like 15 days since I've drank, Yeah, I will go to happy hour with you and drink.
Well, that's cool. And they had an app like that. Oh, no way.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Oh, very good. That's very good for us flight attendants because yeah, that was one of the biggest things that was hard for me. I was getting out of that alcohol problem that I had. But it's like you said too, it's because you're new, you're excited, everything's exciting, but then there's things that we are exposed to a lot as flight attendants. We get exposed to not
The
just
stress.
the stress, the people, the energy, the environments.
Yeah.
It's so
And
much.
when you're getting to the point where you had a hard day and you're like, I need a effing glass of wine right now.
Yeah,
That's not a good place to have an effing glass of wine. Being like,
right.
I need a drink after today. That's not a healthy place to be drinking. Like alcohol, I'm not into full sobriety. The alcohol should be celebrated. It should be fun. It should not be like, holy crap, that day was so crappy. I can't wait to get obliterated after work. And I feel like
Mhm.
that's something a lot of us flight attendants go through, is like, oh my God, that day was so stressful. Let's go get drunk. And it's like, we have to find healthier coping mechanisms
Yeah,
in this.
right. Very true. That being said, then, what are some of your coping mechanisms? What are things that you kind of go to instead of that? Because that's what helped me too. I had to find other avenues, right? Healthier avenues. Because once you try to get rid of something, you have to replace it with something better, right? So,
You
what are some of
do,
yours?
yeah. I think that I think it's a great challenge too to cut alcohol out for a little bit just to see what you do with that spare time, because when you do cut it out, it's like, uh, uh, cricket,
Your
cricket,
brain's
what do
like,
I do?
yeah.
Yeah. For me personally, especially, during the summer and spring and fall, like I love walking and I love putting my headphones in, listening to music, listening to a podcast. That's really nice. I'm also like really into creative projects. I like cooking if I'm home. Um, I recently just got a fish, and
Ooh.
it's been a fun like activity to have, is like how can I take care of this fish? Like, what are the, and like these fish, they're, you don't have to feed them super often too. They're pretty sustainable on their own. Like, they could go 3 days without being fed. So it's like something where I'm like learning about having a pet as a flight attendant. Um, and that's like if they have to. Obviously, I wouldn't do that. I have a roommate to feed the fish, but um, yeah, just like finding different things to, or like holistic things to do with friends too, because like luckily, I have so many friends that are flight attendants that feel that. It's like instead of going out and getting messed up, like why don't we have a walk at the lake and get lunch tomorrow? Because that's fun. But yeah, also journaling too has helped me a lot. I stopped journaling for a while. I have this journal that I had since 2020, and I stopped it the past year. And then I was reading through it, and I was just crying reading through it because
Mhm.
it's like this person that I was before I became a flight attendant and reading through all of my trials. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick it back up because I still have a little bit of pages left. Like,
Mm.
hey, this is what's happened. It's been a year since I've been in here. And it felt like I told off people that there's like so many things I want to say, but like it conveyed it kind of like, when the chords are all tangled, it kind of like organized the chords.
Mm.
Yeah.
I like those are really good. You have a lot of different mechanisms to sort things out. That's really good.
I mean, you get creative when it's
Yeah.
just you.
I like that. For me, I love with the alcohol thing for me when I cut back on it because I did the same thing. I never really had it, and no judgment on anybody. I never really was. I'd never really consider myself an alcoholic. I had alcohol was a problem, but I never had it to the bottle every night, right? So to me, though, I know it was starting to become a problem when that almost started happening. But I what when I cut it back, cut it out for a whole year and then I
Hmm.
slowly, implemented it back again and don't really have the desire to drink anymore. But the practice I gave myself, because I used to be a social drinker, I had to drink to be social. And
Hmm.
to me, and that was anxiety. I had to go into a bar or when I was invited with the crew or whatever it was, instead of drinking, I switched it. I'd be like, okay, well, how do I like you were saying, like it's like it's hard to like get in and be there without something. And so but it was a challenge, but I made it fun. And that was
Yeah,
what made it challenging. And I just like thought of it as like a game or like something to be like, just how do I can step out of my little comfort zone. Like it's okay.
right.
Have to be, you're fun without alcohol. Just saying.
Also, too, it like teaches you a lot about, because you see yourself in other people, and once you're sober
Mm,
and you can step back and like watch everyone that was drinking, it's like, oh, everyone that's getting like belligerent, like no one's a cute drunk. Like it's not cute.
yeah.
It's not cute, and it makes you want to practice stepping back a little bit more because you
Yeah.
see other people and it's like, that's how I am, you know?
Hmm.
That's how I am. I act stupid.
Yeah.
And like it makes you want to like practice that even more. But yeah, it's fun to get creative. Like, what do I want? Do I want an iced tea? Should I get like a
Yeah.
kombucha, or should I like something in a cute glass, or even like asking the
Yeah.
bartender, like, hey, can you make me something cute that looks like a drink so people
Right.
don't like harass me
And
about
it's
it?
fun because everyone thinks you're drinking. You're still having a good time without. I
You're
make
like,
a
see, I'm cool. You
club
didn't even
soda.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do club soda
Yeah.
with a splash of cranberry. And everyone's like, oh,
Yeah,
I think I'm
exactly. It
doing
was like you're
vodka
drinking a
too.
vodka soda.
Yeah.
Like, I
That's
love it.
great. Yeah. And now, it's funny if I do go out, I get free drinks if I do want to have a drink. I'll get that, and then some people want to get you a drink or whatever, which is probably not recommended. But if it's somebody uh, gets you a drink, be like, yeah, I'm drinking vodka, whatever it was I was thinking, and then I had that one free drink, but it saved you money
Exactly.
too.
Exactly. Sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it's not a good thing because sometimes they
Mhm.
keep them coming.
Yeah, yeah. But that's when you learn, and that's another thing I learned with that when I cut it back is that I learned my boundaries in that. That's
Hmm.
the thing I had to
Or
think.
learn the alcohols that you do have self-control around. Like
Right.
for me, if I have like a vodka or a tequila, I'm gonna want more in my head.
Mm.
If I have a
Yeah.
beer or a glass of wine, I can have one and be like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
I like
Yeah.
that with whiskey. I can have a glass of
Hmm.
whiskey just a little bit, and it helps. I could sip on it. I chug everything. That's another reason why.
Feels warm. Yeah.
Yes,
Makes you
now I
feel
can
warm.
sip. Yeah. But that's cool. That's really good because it's interesting. It's an interesting topic to talk about.
Yeah, and like you learn your boundaries and you learn what works for you. And I think that a lot of the stuff that I was finding on social media and podcasts and stuff were people that were like stone cold sober, like I'm an
Mhm.
alcoholic and I'm stone cold sober. But I think for a lot of flight attendants, it's that we're not alcoholics. Like
Yeah.
we don't need alcohol to like survive, and we're not
Yeah.
drinking at work. Obviously, we show up to work every day. Like
Right.
obviously attendance is a huge thing for us, and
Hmm.
so a lot of us are like showing up every day. We don't need to drink every day, but it's the point of like it's our coping mechanism to de-stress
Yeah.
and like connect, because we are all meeting for the first time too
Right.
every
Right.
trip.
Yeah. Always meeting new people. But
So
it is
it's like it's
interesting.
interesting to talk about this like boundary of like, okay, it's borderline a problem, but it's not like alcoholism, need to cut it
Right.
cold turkey. It's like you have to find your balance once you start as a flight attendant.
Yeah. I like to share this because you, like you said, not too many people do talk about that. It's always usually someone
Yeah.
gone cold turkey, and it's like not too many people talk about how they just balance it, right? Um,
Yeah. Find
that's
healthy
really good.
boundaries.
Right. Right. Because that's very helpful because there wasn't a lot of that out there for me. I just had to figure that out, but hearing it from other
Right.
people
And then you feel
does make
hard
you
on
feel
yourself. You're
supported.
like, did I have a problem? Did I need to be
Mm,
100% sober? Like, but I don't feel that way about myself. I feel like sometimes
same.
I slip up into these tendencies where
Mhm.
it's like, okay, time to bounce back and like do something better than that. But I don't want to get rid of it completely because I
Yeah.
do. I love alcohol. I
Me
love
too. I
me
like a
some
drink. Like I
wine.
love a
Like,
glass of wine too. Just one. Just
yes.
one little glass of wine. It's just
Fun
oh
cocktail, espresso martini. Love it.
yeah. But of course, I mean, that's the thing. You hear a lot of people with that have to do it completely, like not at all. And I understand that too, right? Because I have a lot of friends who have to do that. They can't, there is no line for them, so but anyway, I wanted to talk about that. That's what it was that's coming back to me now. We were talking about earlier. Um relationships, because you asked me if you didn't remember if I was with my partner before or
Yeah.
after. That's what was on your podcast. You talked with a person on there about relationships, I think, and that was really good because uh,
Yeah.
in gay culture too, it's different, and that's a really fun topic to that's
Yes.
something to listen
Yeah.
to if you want to listen to her podcast. What's the
I
name
think
of
that
it?
was my first episode.
Yeah, it's really good. I love it.
Thank you. It's really interesting to talk to gay flight attendants as
Yeah.
someone like I date straight men and they date gay men, and it's like
Mhm.
a completely different beast. It's a
Isn't it?
completely
It's
different
funny. I
vibe. It's
mean,
a
wow.
completely different beast. So I find it really interesting to like talk. And I think dating as a gay flight attendant is way harder than dating as a straight flight attendant. And I think that dating as a straight flight attendant is still really hard.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing that's always, something I don't relate to with that much because I have been with my partner before I was a flight attendant. So I always wonder what it was like to date somebody as a flight attendant because you already get that bias already. And people are like, oh, you sleep around, you have a boyfriend or girlfriend in every city. And you're like, oh my gosh, no, it's not all of us. And I like how you kind of
Yeah.
went over that topic. Um, what do you kind of feel about a lot of that? How does it feel like? Because that's the question I always ask people. It's like, how is it like? Because I never really had to date anyone as a flight attendant.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know how that's like.
Honestly, like I feel really hopeless.
No, I could
I
imagine.
do. It's obviously like statistically like there is someone out there for me, and like it just has to be the right person. I'm looking for something very specific, and like travel is like my first love, and then like whoever I'm meant to be with will be like with my first love. So travel will always come first for me in my 20s. And I've just found it really hard. Number one, like the scheduling's really hard. Number two, like a lot of people don't take me seriously because I'm a flight attendant, but I'm a very loyal person.
Mhm.
And a lot of the time guys think it's hot to date a flight attendant until they realize they think it's hot to date a flight attendant. Like they think it's hot and
Yeah.
then they're dating you and then they realize that like other people think you're hot and like you're being flirted with, and then
Mm.
jealousy gets interjected, especially like that soon into relationships and talking stages. And so like I've had situations where, I don't text back one night because I'm out with the crew on a layover, and they're like, "Oh, sure enough, she was with a guy or something." And I'm like, "No, actually, I was vibing with my crew members, and I'm not the type to have my ass on my phone the whole time." You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Right. Oh, I could imagine. See, that's what I always wondered, like how it was like, because yeah, you have that form of jealousy that I feel like that person's gonna have because you're always
Right.
on or something. Yeah.
Right, and then now I'm meeting, like, a lot of flight attendants that especially in Chicago, because, in Chicago, there's a lot of younger pilots here. I'm meeting a lot of flight attendants that are in long-term relationships with pilots,
Mm.
and when I first started, they were like, "Oh, hell no, like,
Mhm.
don't." All the senior mamas are like, "Don't date a pilot," but now, around our generation, they're more so like, well, they do get our lifestyle, like, and they have a stigma and we have a stigma and they do get it. So,
Mm.
like, another flight attendant or a pilot might be a good option to date, or someone with just a crazy schedule, like a nurse might get it, or like something like that. So,
Yeah.
I'm kind of trying to navigate if that's something I would want to do. I'm kind of talking to a
Yeah.
pilot right now, and I'm like, if our schedules align, I will give him the time of day. But again, he's a pilot.
Right.
He's a
There's that.
pilot. I'm like, don't put your stereotypes on us, but I'm gonna put the stereotype on you.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, not sorry. It's gonna happen.
Sorry, I don't make the rules.
Yeah. No, that's a good thing that I always, people ask me, and we talk about that on the jump seat too. It's really interesting to hear people's response on that.
Yeah, and also too being new, I feel like I was internalizing a lot of senior flight attendants' experiences. They were like,
Mm.
"Oh, you got disappointed by a man. Be prepared for a lifetime of that, like
Mhm.
especially in this job." And that's also something that I had to work through in therapy too, is I was internalizing the problems of all of these women who had failed experiences through this career, and I started to feel like, "Oh, is it this career?" But then I realized, like, I'm doing the work on myself, and a lot of
Mhm.
these people haven't done the work on themselves
Yeah,
to have a healthy relationship, and so you can't internalize other people's problems
or compare or anything. Yeah,
just because we
so
have the
true.
same job, you know?
Right. Absolutely. Very well said. Because
Thanks.
you articulate things very well. I love it. I struggle with it's like you're saying things that I sometimes can't get out I can get it in my head, but I can't speak it very well. So
I
thanks for speaking my
understand.
mind.
I understand that. Well, I'm here.
Yes, right.
I'm here to translate for you. I'm
Yeah,
like,
you're
"He was
trans
thinking this."
exactly. Thanks. But I love it. It's like and all of us can relate to it. It's like this those things that especially when you are doing that work on yourself, you just click it and you just click with it and you just know like, oh, that makes sense and I resonate with it. But
Mhm.
wow. So, we can talk a little bit about how we met too again. Well, we first worked our trip together, and then I was in DC and I went to Chicago, but I met your old roommate in DC, and she told me
Mhm.
about you. She was like, "You need to meet this girl," because I told her about the podcast. She's like, "Oh, you need to meet." She said your name, but of course I'm terrible with names. So when I saw you, I didn't know who it was. But I was like, "Oh yeah, that sounds awesome." She's like, "Yeah, she does TikTok, and I think she does a podcast. I don't know if you were doing it yet, but I know you were doing TikTok, of course."
And this
And
was, like, months before we met
met
too.
months before we met, yeah, and then I go to Chicago because I'm gonna be based there next, and I go there next, and, um, I guess we worked my first month in Chicago. That's when it was like
Yeah.
a little over a month ago, um, and that's when we met, and then we got to talking about our stories and how I was in, DC, and you're like, "Oh, do you know?" And then that's when it went into
Yeah. Yeah, he was like I was like, and I think we had worked with each other an entire day before we came across this realization,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I remember the first day we were working together, like, we were both working up front. I was the first class flight attendant, right? And
yeah, I was the
you were
3
like my
assistant.
assistant help. Yeah, and, I just remember the tone was set really good right when I met you. I was like, "Oh, I
Mhm,
like him, like, we have a good
same.
vibe together." You had really good energy, and, we talked that first day, and then the second day, I remember being like, "Wait, you were based in DC. I heard everyone in DC knows each other. Do you know Carly? She was my old roommate."
Mhm.
And he's like, "I'm so bad with names. Can I see a picture?" And I
Mhm.
show him a picture, and he was like, She told me about you. You were the
Really?
TikTok friend that was talking about the podcast. And I text her and I'm send her a picture of Kevin and she's like, "Oh my God, I totally forgot I wanted to introduce you guys. That's so crazy that you guys work together."
Yeah, it was destined to, we were destined to meet Destiny. It's so interesting because I never want I didn't want to ask you, 'cause I bet you got that a lot growing up. Destiny, but
Yeah.
I did feel that way when I first saw your name. I was like, oh, it's Destiny. And I was thinking that just hear that name, and you just think, oh, it's like Destiny. We're destined to meet. And then it really felt like that. It was destined. We were
Yeah.
destined to meet each other. It was really cool.
Yeah, it does.
Um,
It does feel like that.
yeah. So it's interesting how life can symbolize things like that just from someone's name.
Yeah, and like
It's like the
as a point
purpose
of
in
reference,
something.
guys, if you guys don't work for our airline, we have like 27,000 of us. So
It's
for two of us to like randomly meet, it's like it's
right.
pretty synchronistic because you meet new people every day.
Hmm. Yeah, and I'm really glad that the stars aligned, we met, and here we are. We're doing this together.
I know. I'm
And I
happy we
th
found the time.
yeah, and it's I love it because you aligned with because you're doing it is creating that space. You're doing your own inner work as I'm doing mine, and all of us and those that are doing that are creating this environment for one another. Like that's what you show on TikTok. Like we feel that. And same thing with this. And then same thing with, you doing your podcast. Like we're creating this environment that we want to see in the world in a positive direction. And I feel that.
Yeah, it needs to be out there.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
has to be out there for just the mental health and well-being of flight
Right.
attendants to come, for them to know that they're like not alone in this crazy journey of life, you know?
Absolutely. And what better way to do that through travel?
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, because okay, well, in general, with social media, there's a lot
Yeah.
of that, and being authentic on there is hard. When we were talking about that,
Mhm.
how how is that for you?
It overall feels like a good thing and it feels like the right thing to do, but there are always people that make me feel like I'm ungrateful for not, just dealing with the punches. And people think I complain a lot, which sucks because I don't feel like I'm complaining. I feel like, life is all about balance. And just that I have a job that a lot of people want doesn't mean that it's a perfect job. It's a job. Like, and it's a nasty job at that sometimes. Like, it's a job where you deal with really nasty people, you run off of no sleep, and these people that glamorize this is it's creating this like false reality. Um and yeah, I don't know. I get a lot of like hate comments of people being like, obviously this isn't the job for you. And I'm like, I love this job. Obviously, you just saw one of my more negative geared videos, but if you watched all my videos, you would see a combination of things. And the people that matter are the ones that know and watch everything. But it is really hard when I feel like I'm just trying to be real and people are like, oh, well, this isn't the job for you. You just complain all the time. All you do is complain. And I'm like, I'm just trying to create reality for people. I've
Mhm.
literally had aspiring flight attendants reach out and they've been like, thank you. I'm not pursuing this anymore, but thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I just saved. I have classmates that started in week one or month one, they quit.
Mm.
And it's a huge commitment of time, money, everything like that. You need to know that it's right for you. And these airlines are selling it to you. They're making you drink the Kool-Aid. It feels like a cult. Like they're
Yeah, I
selling
know,
it to
right?
you. Seriously, they're selling it. Oh, the dream. You're gonna live your dreams. Okay, yes, you are gonna live your dreams. You're gonna have amazing experiences. But if you already come from a job that has flexibility and you make good money, I would not become a flight attendant.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
great for us that we don't have those opportunities otherwise, but it is not a glamorous job. It's a nasty job. It's you deal with a lot of crappy people and I wouldn't trade it for the world, but like it's not for everyone.
yeah. I love that though, but you're being real, and that's the thing. It's like real and authentic, and there are going to be haters out there. It's just the way it works, I guess, the way of the world sometimes. But I saw that in your work because I didn't know you were a TikToker until like I said our second day of working, and somebody walking by was like, "Oh, you're the girl on TikTok." And then she was like, and I remember her saying this to you. She was like, "Thank you so much. I love your content." And I didn't talk to you until the next day, and we talked about it. I was like, "Yeah, so you're a TikToker or whatever." And then I started, then you showed me it, and then I watched some of the videos, and I was like, and then I think you said something about how people say that sometimes they say you're a complainer and everything like that. And I'm like, this isn't complaining. This is just truth. Like, you
It's
know what
just
I mean?
reality,
This is
man.
just reality. Yeah. Sometimes you need to be grounded and say, like, you know what? It's okay to talk about these things. Now, if you stay in that and you're just like, that's complaining, like staying in that skin,
Yeah.
being like, oh, I hate this, and this, and not finding any solution for yourself, that's complaining. I didn't find any of that in you. I found
Thank you.
authentic. Yeah. Thank you
Thank you.
for
And I think
listening.
it's safe to say we have a lot of coworkers that aren't happy and they don't want to leave
Yeah. Right.
because they're just, it's scary to leave. And it does also put us in kind of a weird position of like, we put our entire life on the line for this job, you know,
Mhm.
like what are you going to go back to do if you decide you don't want to do it anymore?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to spread that information and just be real with each other. And yeah, I usually don't tell my crew members that I make TikToks unless it
I
comes
love
up in
that.
conversation. And then it usually happens where like someone will board the plane and they'll be like, Destiny. And then my whole crew's like, what's going on here?
I love it. I love it. That makes it even more authentic again. You're not doing it to get a hype, and that's what's so cool too.
And I
And
think that there's a lot of them out there that are like
hmm
doing it for clout. And
yeah.
for me, like the clout really isn't a thing. The financial aspect, I
Yeah.
can't lie. The financial aspect is helping me a lot. But like the clout of like being recognized, it actually makes me uncomfortable in a way. Like I want people to feel comfortable to talk to me because they know like I want to talk to them if they're like people that like respect my videos and stuff, but it
Right.
is kind of uncomfortable being perceived, you know?
Yeah, I could imagine.
It's
Oh,
like they know such intimate details about my life and I know nothing about them. And I think when I
mhm.
first started, I had no idea I was talking to real people. When my videos would get hundreds of thousands or even millions of views, I didn't realize I was talking to real people. And
Mm.
so flight attendants, I'll be talking to them and they'll be like, not gonna lie, girl, I follow you on TikTok and I know this entire story already. And I'm like,
What? Whoa.
that's weird.
I could imagine that being weird.
It is weird, but
Yeah.
I mean, you'll
But
get it.
yeah, but just even having that in itself is amazing on how well you still handle yourself in that, because that could be a thing too. For me, that is a huge fear of mine, and being known, period. But I had to let that
It's
go, right? It
scary.
is because then
I don't
you're
know
all
why people want it so bad.
right. Me too. I'm like, I do not like, and but I had to get over that fear though. It's like if I'm doing something that I feel passionate about and I am real and authentic, then I'll deal with the clout. I'll deal with whatever it is that's going to be negative or whatever, because I'm not doing it for that. And I'm letting go of that fear because it's like I can't control what other people think of me. I'm
Right.
letting that go. You know?
My mom says like a lot of really cheesy things, but one thing my mom said that has always resonated with me is it's none of my business what other people say about me. Like
Hmm.
it's not my business.
Yeah,
So,
it's
and
so true.
whenever I'm worried about what people think about me, I'm like, oh wait, that's none of my business
Yeah,
actually. It's
right. It
not.
is. It's
Like it's
helpful. It's
really
like,
not. If you want to be an adult and have a conversation with me about why you don't like me in a certain way or why something I said rubbed you the wrong way, let's talk about it. But if not, like if you're just a hater, you're just a hater. And some
mhm,
people are genuinely just haters. I just worked
yeah,
with a guy yesterday that we were talking about how we have a mutual friend that's an influencer. And he started being like, oh, I like her. And I was like, oh, yeah, of course. Like, what's not to like about her? She's so cool. He's like, well, a lot of people don't like her because of how much she posts, and they don't like her because A, B, and C. And I'm like, they're haters.
right.
She is so non problematic. Like, why would people not like her?
Mhm,
You know, like all she does is post her travels and like, it just put into perspective, I'm like, how could people not like her? So if people don't like me, it's like,
like, okay,
you're a hater.
yeah. And usually,
Sorry, maybe time to go to therapy, look inward.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of the times, the things that we don't like in a lot of the people is usually a reflection of something in ourselves. And I use that as a practice nowadays. Whenever there's
Yes,
something I'm not liking in someone else, I'm like, that's a reflection. There's something in me I'm not liking about that I do this
right,
thing. It's kind of cool. You can actually use it if you ever want to work on yourself more. When you do come to that space with somebody and you're like, I'm not liking this because I do that. Really? If you really kind of look at it,
right. I
you're
don't know
like,
if you saw the whole like
so,
TikTok drama that I got into recently.
oh
Did you
no,
see?
no.
Okay, so basically, there was a girl that went to interview with United Airlines and she forgot her passport because she didn't read the
Oh no, I did
interview
see
email.
this. I did see
Okay,
this. Yes.
so just yesterday, she got really mad because I created a video basically saying, first of all, I want to preface by saying my energy was a little condescending in a way because I had known multiple flight attendants that have tried to reach out to her to help her because the flight attendant community is a very inclusive environment. They
Mm-hmm.
had tried to help her and she was super mean to them and like blocked them and they were like, "Hey, we were literally just trying to help, like no shade at all." And so then by the time I made my video, I'm like, "You can't post United Airlines cussing them out because you forgot something that was in the email that was sent to you. You need to take accountability. And if I were you, I would take all these videos down." And so I told her personally, because this video started to blow up on my end, I
Mm-hmm.
told her, "Hey, if you want me to take it down, I will. I do suggest you remove this content of cussing out United Airlines because it's not just United you're getting blacklisted from. You're going to get blacklisted from every airline at this
Oh,
point.
yeah.
Like they don't like that. They don't like this social media presence. Um, she hates me now.
Mm.
I'm blocked, and yesterday she posted this about saying that I have a butch body, bad tan, pencil eyebrows, like just
Wow.
really attacking my personal looks, like my looks, which is like right when you attack someone's looks, it's like you lose the argument, okay?
Oh
Like
yeah, totally.
that's
I
a low
agree.
blow going for
It
someone's
really
looks,
is.
okay? But she's just a prime example of someone that can't take accountability in a way.
Yeah.
Like you can't take and people were like, well, maybe she didn't ask for advice. Isn't it common sense that you would want advice from someone that's working in the career field that you aspire to be in?
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're like, I
Common
wanna
sense.
right.
It's common sense. And so that's also something that I'm going through on social media right now where it's like this big thing that a bunch of people are putting their 2 cents at me and then some people are saying I'm racist and I'm like, that's a really harsh accusation to put on
Right.
someone. I've never said anything racist at all. Like, what?
Yeah.
And anyone that's my following, the majority of people are already employed with major airlines and they agree because they're already in the position. They agree, they understand. The people that are hating and coming at me just don't understand the way our industry is very cutthroat. They
Yeah.
don't play.
Right. And when I watched the video, it just sounded like you were just trying to help her. It wasn't, you didn't say anything negative about her. You were just saying that the actions may have been like her actions may have been negative, but like that's just a given. But you were just trying to help her. It sounded like to me, I thought it was kind of cute. It's like, oh yeah, because but
Kind of cute.
yeah, no, right. Because like, yeah, if you want to go
No.
into the field, like be real. Like, cause you're just real. And I love real, authentic stuff. Just tell it like it is. Cause it's like, you know, yeah, maybe you should take that down because it's not, you're not, if you want to get in the airline industry, this isn't how you do it. And your page is about a lot of that. So it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, she was probably already so insecure with herself and something and had to find a way to
Exactly.
do that.
Something that I said triggered her, I think, especially in
Mhm.
regards to like she feels like a part of it has race to play in it, which it really doesn't. Like none
Yeah.
of it has to do with race at all. Like I would never,
Right.
our environment, it's very
Yeah.
inclusive. Like,
I think,
um, yeah,
yeah. And I think, they have a right to their own feelings and the real situation in that. But I think what we're learning is that we don't have control over that. Only they can. Only they, that's the world she wants to live in. And
yeah,
you just gotta let them do the world they want to live in. Like, sadly enough. But yeah, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's work that we can't do that. You know your intentions, and if someone else wants to twist that another way, that's on them. That's what I've learned for myself, you know.
Yeah, and that's also the thing where I'm like, I feel called to talk about this. This is messy, but
Mhm.
like I feel called to talk about it. Like,
Yeah,
and it's real. It's stuff that's on my mind. It's stuff that's like I want to spread to people like if you're aspiring to be a flight attendant, this is not okay at all.
yeah,
It's not. And I'm being real and straight up and authentic with you. And I don't know. The fact that I offered to take it down too is like she
yeah,
liked the attention in a way, probably. I don't know.
probably. Yeah, you never know. But yeah, as long as you just keep doing your work, doing your thing, and stay true to it, that's what matters.
Yeah.
But, well, I want to talk some more, and I'll have you back on the show because I know we're getting close to the time now. But and I definitely want to be on your show. Uh, but I have ending questions that I ask all my guests before they leave. Yeah. So first question is, if you knew you wouldn't fail at something, what would you do?
Um I think if I knew I wouldn't fail at things, I would be more open to putting myself out there with a lot of different things. And I know I put myself out there a lot in general, but even more so, I think that I've had so many situations where I've wanted to create a clothing brand, but then the last steps I get overwhelmed and I drop it or um even the podcast. It's like I feel overwhelmed by it and I drop it, but I think that if I knew it was going to be successful, that I would have more faith in myself and just and it's like it's hard because like I kind of know it will be, but like
I know the
it's
feeling.
just that self-doubt. Like we all have that,
Yeah,
imposter syndrome in our heads of like we're not good enough.
totally.
But I think I would definitely go forward with the podcast a bit more and maybe even more venues of entrepreneurship.
Mm, I like that. Good answer.
Yeah.
So another one then is if money wasn't an obstacle, how would you live your life?
Oh, I would be somewhere every week. I would probably
Fair.
not be a flight attendant.
Fair enough. Totally
I would
relatable.
probably be like living abroad or something and
Oh,
travel a lot and, I don't know, be away from all the world chaos, maybe on a remote island.
hmm.
Ignorance is bliss.
Right.
Reality.
Totally relatable. So this is jump seat therapy. What does jump seat therapy mean to you?
Like I said earlier, I think jump seat therapy is like a non-judgmental environment to share real topics and, real conversations that help us feel more united as crew members.
Totally. Totally. Very well said.
Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, thank you. And do you have any parting message you would like to give the audience? Like something you just want to share, one last little thing.
In general, a message that I would spread is like anything you're going through in life, you are not alone. And like you are so much less alone than you think and than you feel in the moment. Um, and once you start to have the bravery to have those like hard conversations is when you realize how much we all struggle and, what an inclusive environment this actually is.
Totally. Oh. Then, so thank you. Thank you again, Destiny, for being here. Thank you for doing this with me. I'm just proud to have you here, and thank you so much for all the work that you do. How can people find more about you? I know your TikTok information, anything else that you want to share, the podcast, whatever.
Yeah, the podcast is called Babes with Baggage. It's only on Spotify. There's only 4 episodes right now, and I'm gonna try my best to be more consistent with it. You guys want to listen to it?
Yeah. Well, I'm excited because yeah, I want to be part of that too. So we'll
You
create
will.
these little platforms and share stories and um, be a great environment. So thank you again, Destiny. You have a great rest of your day. Love, peace, and unity. Like
Love
Yay.
talking to you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
So let's dive deep, let's take flight, and jump seat therapy, everything's alright. Together we rise. emotions we